All right, so are you ready to like really get good at English?
I think so.
Because today we're going to break down some really awesome advice on learning English.
Yeah.
And this comes from Expert English Academy.
Oh, I love that show.
It's so good, right? And like who hasn't wished that they could watch their favorite shows without subtitles?
Oh my God, all the time.
Right. So that's what this deep dive is really going to focus on, is getting you to that point.
Awesome, love it.
Yeah, and it can be fun too.
Absolutely. So one of the things that the episode talks about is like the power of having a clear why
Oh yeah.
for learning English.
Yeah.
Like it's not just some like cheesy motivational poster thing.
Mm.
It's actually like when you know why you're putting in the effort,
Yeah.
whether it's for travel or work or connecting with new people, your brain actually like prioritizes learning the language.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it goes, oh, this is important.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I got to pay attention to this.
Yes.
I remember when I was trying to learn Spanish just from textbooks,
Ugh.
it was such a drag. But then I started like listening to music and watching movies and even just changing my phone settings.
Oh, that's smart.
And then it was like, oh,
I get it now.
yeah.
That's the magic of immersion.
Yeah,
It's not about being perfect. It's just about surrounding yourself with the language.
totally.
And it can even like help you with grammar rules that you didn't understand before.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever heard a song
Uh-huh.
in English?
Yeah.
And then like suddenly understood this grammar point?
Oh, totally. Like you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I've heard that so many times.
Okay, so we're immersing ourselves. We're surrounding ourselves with English.
Yes.
And then the episode talks about like actually speaking it,
Oh, yeah.
which can be terrifying,
It's scary.
especially as a beginner.
Of course.
But
But it's like,
yeah.
it's normal to feel nervous. Right?
Absolutely.
But like everybody starts somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the episode mentions some cool apps like Hello Talk.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
You connect with other learners or even native speakers going to practice with. And it's kind of like finding a supportive pen pal.
Yeah.
But they also want to get better at English. So it's like no pressure.
That's nice. Low pressure.
Yeah.
Just practice.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're immersing ourselves. We're practicing speaking.
Yep.
How about vocabulary?
Vocabulary.
Okay.
So does the episode have any tips on that?
It does. It talks about these things called high-frequency words.
Okay.
And those are like the words that we use most often in conversations,
Gotcha.
like everyday conversations. Think about it this way. If you had to explain like your entire day using only 5 words, what would they be?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right? Those are probably like high-frequency words in your native language.
Okay.
So if you focus on those high-frequency words in English, you can get speaking more fluently, like faster.
I like that, like the 80-20 rule.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's less overwhelming than trying to memorize the dictionary.
For sure.
So we've talked about speaking. What about listening? Listening. So the episode actually talks about like 2 different types of listening.
Oh,
There's passive listening,
okay.
where English is kind of just like background noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's active listening, where you really like engaging with the language.
So how do we do that? How do we actively listen besides like
Right.
paying attention?
Yeah. Well, one thing you can try is transcription.
What's that?
So basically you pick like a short English video clip
Okay.
and you try to write down every single word that you hear.
Oh, wow.
And then you check it against the actual transcript.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, it helps you train your ear
Okay.
and like be more aware of the sounds
Right.
of spoken English.
I like that. So, okay. I think it's time to talk about like the big one.
Oh.
Grammar.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest. Sometimes it feels like a monster.
It can be very overwhelming.
Right. So, but the episode has a really reassuring way of looking at grammar.
Okay.
They point out that when kids learn to speak,
Yeah.
they don't start with grammar books.
No, they don't.
Right. They just listen and they imitate.
Yeah,
So we can kind of do the same thing.
exactly. Just by like immersing yourself in English
Okay.
and paying attention to how it's used, you can kind of like absorb those grammar rules.
Without like getting bogged down in all the technicalities.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That takes a lot of pressure off.
It does.
It makes it feel less like studying and more like just experiencing the language.
Right. It's a journey.
So speaking of experiencing the language, the episode has this really cool challenge for making English part of your daily life.
Oh, fun. What is it?
Like, what are some examples?
Well, it could be something as simple as like changing your phone's language settings
Oh,
to English
okay.
or putting up English sticky notes around your house,
Oh,
like with the names of objects.
like on the fridge?
Yeah. Or even like start a journal where you just write a couple sentences in English every day.
Okay. So just like weaving it into your life.
Exactly. Instead of like having to sit down and study for hours.
Yeah, right? It's just like little moments.
Yeah, it's all about those small, consistent actions.
Okay.
That build up over time.
So like habit formation.
Yeah, like building a muscle.
You use it, you get stronger.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about immersion speaking, vocabulary listening, and even grammar.
We did it.
Now let's get to the fun stuff.
Let's heck.
Tech. The episode has all these recommendations for apps and online resources.
What are some of the good ones?
Well, they mentioned Duolingo and Babbel.
Oh, yeah.
For building vocabulary.
Classic.
And then Grammarly for writing.
I love Grammarly.
It's so helpful. And YouTube for free pronunciation lessons.
Oh, my God. YouTube is amazing.
It's a goldmine.
It is.
I am a huge fan of Memrise.
Oh, yeah.
Have you tried that one?
I have. It's got those funny mnemonics.
Yes.
The visual.
It's like a game.
Yeah.
I love that.
I feel like I'm not even studying.
Right.
What about you? Do you have any favorite apps or online resources?
Ooh, I'm really into the Learn English with English Class 101 YouTube channel. Oh, I've heard of that.
They're really good at explaining grammar and pronunciation.
Okay.
And they cover so many topics. So yeah, definitely check that one out.
Okay, so we covered a lot of ground here. But there's one more point that I want to highlight from the episode.
Okay. What is it?
I think it's so important for staying motivated. And that is celebrating the small wins.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easy to get discouraged when you're learning a language.
For sure.
But the little victories.
Yes.
Like if you have a conversation and you understand everything.
Yeah.
Or if you read an article and you don't need a dictionary.
That's the best feeling.
Those are like little boosts.
They are.
That keep you going.
It's like positive reinforcement for your brain.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
So speaking of support, the episode also talks about the power of like finding your tribe.
Your tribe.
Yeah. Like a mentor or a language exchange partner or a study group.
I love that idea.
Can really make a difference.
Absolutely.
It just makes the journey less intimidating.
Yeah. And more fun.
Yeah. So if you're feeling brave, why not look for a local or online English group?
It could be amazing.
You might be surprised how welcoming they are.
Yeah.
So,
go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
And like connecting with other people.
Yeah.
It goes back to that why that we were talking about. Like when you're really passionate about learning English, those connections just become way more meaningful.
Totally.
Like imagine traveling and having a real conversation with someone or working on a project with colleagues from all over the world.
That would be so cool.
It's amazing what you can do when you commit to it.
I totally agree. So we've talked about the why, the how, and even like who to connect with for learning English. Are there any other like specific strategies that people can use?
So the episode talks about this idea of active recall.
Active recall.
Okay. So it's not enough to just like passively listen or read.
Yeah.
You have to actually like test yourself and try to remember things.
Okay.
Think of it like flashcards.
Oh, yeah.
Like you used to use in school. That's like the classic example.
Okay.
So instead of just like reading through a vocabulary list, you should actually like quiz yourself on it.
Oh, okay. So like really make sure I know it.
Yeah. And there's some cool apps for this too, like Anki and Quizlet.
Oh, I've heard of those.
They use these things called spaced repetition algorithms.
That sounds fancy.
It's basically like they show you the word right before you're about to forget it.
That's so smart.
Yeah. It helps you remember things way better.
It's like a little brain hack.
It is a brain hack.
I like it. The episode also talks about like breaking your learning down into smaller chunks.
Definitely.
So instead of trying to learn like everything at once, you focus on maybe like pronunciation one day or grammar another day.
It's less overwhelming that way.
Yeah, it feels less scary.
And you can make more progress faster.
And they said consistency is key.
Oh, always.
It's better to study a little bit every day than to try and cram it all in at once.
Absolutely. I love the Pomodoro technique for this.
What's that?
So you set a timer for 25 minutes.
Okay.
And you just focus on studying.
Okay.
And then you take a 5-minute break.
That's a good idea.
It's amazing how much you can get done.
Yeah.
When you break things down like that.
You don't get burned out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can use it for anything.
Cool.
Whether it's vocabulary, grammar, or speaking practice.
That's a good tip. Now, something else that the episode really stresses is not being afraid to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is huge.
It is so important.
Because I think a lot of people get hung up on being perfect.
Yeah.
And that can really hold you back.
It can. Like, mistakes actually help you learn.
Really?
Yeah, because they show you where you need to improve.
Yeah.
And they can actually make your understanding of English even stronger.
Okay, so we should embrace the mistakes.
Embrace them.
Love them.
Not be scared of them.
Yeah. The only way to really get good at something is to actually do it. Yeah. You got to make those mistakes.
You do.
Okay. So it's all about shifting your mindset.
It is.
From being afraid to seeing them as opportunities.
As stepping stones.
I like that. What's something else from the episode?
Okay. So one thing that I found really interesting was this idea of understanding your learning style.
Oh, yeah.
Because not everyone learns the same way.
Totally.
Some people are visual learners. Some people are auditory learners.
Right.
And some people are more hands-on.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm a very visual learner.
Oh, cool. What does that mean?
So, like, I love using mind maps and diagrams.
Okay.
It helps me visualize the information.
Oh, that's cool. What about you?
I'm more of an auditory learner.
Okay.
So I like listening to podcasts and audiobooks.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's how I soak up new words and grammar.
So how do people figure out what their learning style is?
Well, the episode says to just experiment with different approaches.
Okay.
And pay attention to what works best for you.
Yeah. Like, do you remember things better when you see them written down?
Exactly.
Or do you need to, like, move around and use your body?
Yeah.
So once you figure out what works best, you can tailor your study methods.
Exactly.
Make it your own.
It's all about personalizing your learning.
And making it fun.
And making it fun.
Yes. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different things.
We have.
But one last thing from the episode that I really want to emphasize is that learning English, it's a marathon.
It's a marathon.
Not a sprint.
Not a sprint.
Right, because it's easy to get discouraged when you don't see results right away.
Oh, for sure.
But it's all about consistency and perseverance.
It is. You got to set realistic goals.
Yeah.
Pace yourself. And celebrate those milestones along the way.
It's a journey.
It is. It's like climbing a mountain.
Ooh.
I like that.
Right? It can be tough sometimes.
Uh-huh.
But the view from the top is breathtaking.
And who knows?
Yeah.
You might find some cool stuff along the way. Yeah. You might even discover new friendships or new ways of seeing the world.
That's awesome.
All thanks to learning English.
I like that. So as we wrap up this deep dive on learning English, what's one key takeaway that you really want listeners to remember?
You know, it's interesting. The episode doesn't really talk about, like, reaching perfect fluency.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about, like, never making a mistake.
Okay.
It's more about progress, not perfection.
I like that.
Like putting in the effort, having fun while you're doing it, and celebrating how far you've come.
So it's not about speaking perfectly. It's more about, like, communicating and connecting.
Exactly.
Expressing yourself.
Right. And that kind of leads us to the final question that the episode asks.
Okay.
What's one specific action that you're going to take based on what you learned today?
Good question. What's one thing that you can do right now to keep that momentum going?
Yeah.
Maybe download a language app or sign up for a conversation group.
Or even just watch one movie in English this week.
Oh, that's a good one. Without subtitles.
Without subtitles.
Okay. So every journey begins with a single step.
Yeah.
And today you've learned a lot.
You have.
So you're ready to take that step.
Absolutely.
We believe in you. You can do it.
You can.
And the world of English learning is huge.
It is.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and never stop being curious.
Until next time, happy learning.
Happy learning.